A Belgrade bicyclist is in the hospital with serious injuries after a truck struck him here at this intersection.
A major summit is being held here in Butte with its mission to end school violence.
Good morning, 6:30 on this Wednesday. Chet Lehman and Missy O'Malley with you. Matt has our forecast in a moment. Our top story this half hour, a man in Belgrade seriously injured while riding his bicycle yesterday morning.
MTN's Cody Boyer was at the scene and gives us an update.
Belgrade Police Chief E.J. Clark says the man suffered serious injuries after the truck attempted to turn out from Hoffman Street onto West Main Street here in Belgrade. Now, eyewitnesses say the man driving it stopped at the stop sign first, then started to move just as the bicyclist crossed in front of him.
The bicyclist was westbound and a vehicle pulling onto Main Street from Hoffman and the bicycle collided.
An early morning bike ride cut short. Belgrade police, firefighters, and Montana Highway Patrol troopers quickly shut down the road shortly after 8:30.
The bicyclist has sustained some injuries and has been transported to the hospital.
An eyewitness says that he saw the bike rider go underneath the front of the truck. The driver immediately stopped, but the damage was done. Chief Clark says as the investigation continues, the driver is cooperating.
He's shaken, but we're talking with him right now and dealing with him.
The Belgrade Police Chief says the investigation is still underway, but as you can see, this is where it happened. He says with school just around the corner, safety along this stretch, as well as thinking about kids who might be biking their way to school right around here, that's something that's heavily on his mind.
School's starting, so we're gonna have all kinds of kids on bicycles and on foot, walking down the street, and we need to look and watch for everybody.
And while police work to figure out what happened exactly, the chief says it's a brutal reminder. Whoever is at fault, it can be avoided.
Drivers have to pay attention that bicycles, motorcycles, joggers, pedestrians, they're smaller than a vehicle, and you got to look for the small thing, not just the big thing coming towards you. Do everything just like everybody else is supposed to, and so we're all safe. Nobody wants to hit anybody.
Police say the bicyclist, as of last check-in, was still hospitalized. We will keep you updated on their condition. In Belgrade, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Now, police say the cyclist is still in the hospital. Meantime, the driver of the pickup claims that the cyclist ran into him. The case is still being investigated.
6:32 now. Meteorologist Matt Elwell joins us. Matt, the summer has made a return, though briefly, to southwest Montana. Really warm yesterday. Day before, even hotter than that. Sounds like maybe we're going to
We do have a little natural relief heading this direction. We're going to have a cold front slide through on Thursday, and that'll drop the temperatures, bring some rain back to the area. I don't think it'll be significant, but the temperature drop will be noticeable. Temperature-wise this morning into the 40s and 50s. 36 this morning in West Yellowstone. A pretty quiet morning overall, not a whole lot of cloud cover. Daytime highs back into the upper 80s to low 90s. We're going to take a look at our rain chances as you head into your Thursday. And coming up a little later, we're also going to talk about our road report. Lots to talk about in that as well. More on your forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you for that, Matt. The Powell County Sheriff's Office has released the identity of a woman who was killed on Sunday at a demolition derby.
Yeah, the victim has been identified as 36-year-old Darylyn Day of Anaconda. She was an EMT, was on duty at the time of that incident. Day and 6 other people were hit by a car that was taking part in the event at the Tri-County Fair in Deer Lodge. That incident still remains under investigation.
And a Belgrade man was a target for a group of thieves who, according to police, are stealing things right off of people's porches.
And they were all caught on camera. Take a look. William Lambden says he had just set his miter saw out to start some work and had come back inside when his surveillance camera caught 2 men checking it out.
And they didn't stop there. Moments later, one of them went up to the porch, unplugs the saw, and carries it off, loading it into the back of the pickup truck.
Williams says other neighbors reported similar thefts last week. Within 48 hours, Gallatin County Sheriff's deputies and Bozeman police detectives were able to track down the saw at a pawn shop in Helena.
Wow.
I've never had anything go missing. I did not have a house key for 1.5 years. I never locked my door. I do now. You know, that's kind of just the neighborhood, and that's what I've gotten accustomed to. And I you know, certainly going forward, I'm going to be more cautious.
That investigation is ongoing. There haven't been any arrests made as of yet.
And additional crews have been called in to battle a wildfire near Whitehall.
Yeah, the McCluskey fire now at 70 acres, burning in heavy timber. Fire was started by lightning. It's burning in steep, rocky, and inaccessible terrain that is littered with trees killed by insects or disease. There are about 14 structures, including 2 homes near that fire, but none are being threatened as of now. Extra help arrived on the scene yesterday, bringing the total to 87 firefighters and a helicopter now battling that blaze.
And a summit was held yesterday in Butte to find ways to prevent violence in Montana schools.
MTN's John Amy was there and has a story from behind the event.
A school shooting in Butte 25 years ago that took the life of an 11-year-old boy is the inspiration for a summit being held in Butte this week to make schools across Montana safer.
I'm learning a lot. There's always something to learn, something to bring back to our leadership and implement in the schools, absolutely.
The Jeremy Bullock Safe Schools Summit, being held at the Clarion Inn Copper King Hotel, was organized by the family of Jeremy Bullock, who was shot and killed by another boy at Margaret Leary School in 1994. The summit featured workshops on improving school safety. Governor Steve Bullock, who is Jeremy's uncle, spoke at the event.
It's difficult at times, especially as we gather still in the shadow of mass shootings in Texas and Ohio, to really feel like we've made any progress in 25 years. But indeed, compared to where we were then, progress has been made in Montana.
The former principal of Margaret Leary School, who was there that tragic day Jeremy was shot, is at this event, and she said she's made it her life's work to end school violence.
Is we need to talk to kids. We need to talk to kids continuously. Because kids know, what's going on. Almost every shooting in the country, there's been warning signs that kids know about.
Responding to the warning signs, in Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
6:37 now, staying in the mining city. Butte Airport making more room this week by tearing down its old terminal building.
A crew began demolishing the old terminal that was built in the mid-60s. The terminal has been sitting vacant for almost 2 years, and after the new $10 million terminal was opened right next to it, the demolition crew reports it won't take long to remove that old structure.
Well, as you can see, it's going quick. It'll take a day or two to knock it down, and it'll take a week or two to get it hauled off.
Now, the demolition was delayed to give the airport time to remove needed aviation equipment for the new terminal.
New this morning, an update. Steamboat Geyser, Yellowstone National Park has tied an all-time record for eruptions in a single year.
The geyser had its 32nd major eruption of the year yesterday afternoon. The previous record was set last year when the geyser sprang to life after being dormant for more than 3.5 years. Last year's record, the longest in recorded history, was set on Christmas Day. With more than 4 months remaining in the year, there is a distinct possibility that the geyser will break its record for eruptions in a single year.
But scientists at the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory tell MTN News that Steamboat is unpredictable, could stop erupting at any time. It once quit going off for more than 50 years, from 1911 to 1961. Steamboat, by the way, is the tallest active geyser in the world. Reaches heights of 300 feet when it makes a major eruption.
Have you seen
Bucket list? No, I have not.
Yeah.
That is a bucket list.
You and John Shear are two Yellowstone National Park experts in the building.
An old friend from Yellowstone who has seen it several times go off.
Oh,
here
really?
in the stages of it. I would like to see it myself.
And of course, our own John Shear is heading out to the park later today.
We'll have a complete story on what this means for Yellowstone coming up 5:30 tonight.
Very cool. Stay with us. In a moment, we're going to tell you about a Michigan woman